I am going to start this video off real quick with an apology for the noise that you are going to hear in this video. They are redoing the roof on my apartment complex, and I think right now is the part where they just square dance above my domicile. But this is the part of the preseason where everyone is starting to hone in on fan favorites, and because there's no news happening, just kind of try to get your clicks by putting their names and images in headlines and thumbnails, etc. And I'm not going to do that to you here. Instead, what I'm going to do is make a video about NIKKO REMIGIO in response to one of those articles about a player that everyone loves and is going to get clicks, right? So I'm not doing what they're doing. I'm responding to the clickbait sort of stuff. That's better, right? Definitely that's better. Anyway, in an article from Arrowhead Pride titled NIKKO REMIGIO's Chances of Climbing the Depth Chart in Training Camp, pinned by Jared Sapp, there were a couple of talking points that I thought were interesting, maybe worth going over. And the article itself is definitely worth a read. It is a bit of a meandering article, if I'm allowed a little bit of editorial criticism. It's a bit of a meandering article, but it is all very well written. And there's a couple things that I thought were maybe not touched on enough in the discussion around NIKKO REMIGIO, but Sapp did a good job talking about it. And the first one was this: Remigio will likely have to pass at least one of Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney on the team's on the receiving room's depth chart to make the team. Toney is a former first-round pick of the New York Giants, whom the Chiefs traded for in 2022, for whom the Chiefs traded in 2022. However, though a hero in the season's Super Bowl LVII victory, he followed with a dreadful gaffe-filled 2023 campaign. Toney did not play week after week, I am struggling right now, guys, after Week 15's victory over the New England Patriots. Although the Chiefs have given generic affirmations of continued belief in the enigmatic player, it will not be surprising if they move on before the season. Some have suspected that Toney's return game skills will give him another chance due to new kickoff rules. Remigio, however, could also work his way into that conversation, end quote. I'm going to start where that quote ends, actually. I disagree about kickoffs. In my opinion, what is going to end up happening with the kickoffs is that we're probably not going to see wide receivers excel in the kickoff return game. Punt returns, you will still see wide receivers excel. I do not believe we will ever again see the cornerback who is a kick return specialist. I think that the maybe exclusive domain, I think that running backs will hold nearly exclusive domain over the new kickoff return rules. Why? I think that what's going to happen with a lot of these things, these new kickoff rules, we're going to definitely see contact. Definitely seeing contact is going to favor the bigger, stronger guys. If you can get bigger, stronger guys that have speed, that is definitely a plus. NIKKO REMIGIO is not big or strong. NIKKO REMIGIO does not have speed. NIKKO REMIGIO is a very shifty guy, so I think that he is going to continue to be more of a threat for punt returner than kickoff returner. So let me scroll up a little bit here. Remigio will likely have to pass at least one of Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney on the team's receiving room's depth chart to make the team. This is undoubtedly true. This is 100% true. I'm just not sure that it is true enough. Yeah, he's probably going to have to pass one of them. He might have to pass two of them. It seems to me probably because Justin Ross has experience in the NFL, has a few stats at the NFL level, and brings things no one else on this receiving corps does. The closest guy to Justin Ross is Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice is in contention to be the number one guy for the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Ross, at this point, in my opinion, will be on a conservative sort of depth chart above NIKKO REMIGIO. Now, one good day of actual training camp, maybe that changes, right? Maybe that's all different after a single good day in training camp. I don't think minicamp gets you there. He's going to have to pass a few people, and we're going to get to the rough depth chart at wide receiver in just a minute. But the article from Arrowhead Pride continues, and a little bit later we get this quote. Quote, some speculate Moore's draft status makes it unlikely Remigio can beat him for a roster spot. However, Chiefs general manager Brett Veach recently showed that he is willing to move on from high draft selections if better options surface, especially given the chance to repeat as champions. In 2018, in his first draft after taking over in Kansas City, Veach traded up to the 46th selection to take defensive end Breland Speaks. 2 training camps later, which would be 2020, Speaks was waived on cutdown day, having been outplayed by 2020 fifth-round selection Mike Dana and journeyman Damon Harris. Moore is likely in better standing with the club than Speaks, who missed all of 2019 with a knee injury and received a substance abuse policy suspension while rehabbing. Still, if Veach is willing to part with a second-round selection he traded up for after 2 seasons, an underwhelming second-rounder for whom he traded back should not feel safe. The biggest thing to take umbrage with in this quote, where is it at here? Recently. It's 2024, Mr. Sapp. We're talking about nearly a half a decade ago at this point. It's hard to come to terms with that. We're all getting older. But the Breland Speaks saga is ancient lore at this point. Now, I want to give Jared Sapp credit. I had not even considered the fact that Sky Moore would be expendable because Brett Veach is very quick to move on from a mistake if he knows it's a mistake. Maybe Kadarius Toney should have been moved on from. Maybe Kadarius Toney was ultimately a mistake. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely won that trade, but maybe you could consider Kadarius Toney a mistake that Brett Veach has been reticent from whom to move on. Still, the fact that, this is just a great argument. This is just a great argument bringing up Breland Speaks for the fact that NIKKO REMIGIO can, in fact, pass up players on this depth chart. So let's look at the depth chart. I think that the number one target this year in Kansas City is going to end up being Hollywood Brown, both by targets, receptions, and yards. I guess that's 3, not both. But I think that a good part of that is because Rashee Rice is going to be conspicuously absent for some portion of this season. Number 2, I think, will be Rashee Rice. Number 3, Xavier Worthy. I don't know that there is any argument. I think there's an argument for any one of these 3 to maybe move up or down a spot on this list. I don't know that there's any argument for anyone besides these 3 to end up being in the top 3. Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. So right there, you've got 3 wide receivers that are going to be wide receivers, regardless of their skill set, regardless of what else they can bring to the table, which will be nothing, by the way. They're going to play strictly wide receiver. Those 3 guys are guaranteed those spots. The next 2, I think you can do some flip-flopping with. Mecole Hardman or Justin Watson. Who have you got at number 4? I put number 4 Mecole Hardman in there because it seems the Chiefs are really sort of emphasizing speed. Now, any given day, you could probably talk me into flipping 4 and 5 here. I wouldn't be too concerned about who ends up being the 4th, who ends up being the 5th. So that's 5. How many wide receivers are the Kansas City Chiefs going to pull into the season? 7 is probably tip of the top. 7 is a very big number. Number 6 is Sky Moore. Number 7 is Kadarius Toney. And again, with those 2, I think you can flip-flop them, and I'm not going to argue with you. 8, I still have Justin Ross above NIKKO Remigio, simply because of his experience. Again, this could change in a single day at training camp. So let's look at things objectively, taking a step back after that top 3. Mecole Hardman. Does he bring anything on special teams? Well, he's not a gunner. He's not blocking for anybody on special teams. Is he a kick and or punt returner? He's built a little bit more like a running back. So I think that he may have some shot at the kickoff return specialist, at least until, because these things are always evolving, right? This is going to be so new. Someone's going to try something and it's going to be devastatingly effective, and then everyone will have to try to adjust after that, and then that thing that springs out as devastatingly effective withers away. That's how it happens in the NFL, the Wildcat formation. You guys remember that? Devastatingly effective, 2 seasons, gone. Tim Tebow, devastatingly effective in the win column for the team that he was playing for, at least, and then gone. So these things will pop up and go away. I think Mecole Hardman will probably get looks at kick returner. I don't know about punt returner. I don't know about punt returner. I'll just leave it at that. Justin Watson, what special teams value does he add? Well, he is the kind of guy who's going to run down the field and make a tackle. He is the kind of guy who's going to block. So while I don't see him being a kick returner, and I see 0% chance that he becomes a punt returner this season, there is definitive special teams value on kick coverage teams and field goal teams, punt teams, etc. So I think Justin Watson is fairly safe to be on the roster. Sky Moore. Punt returner Sky Moore? No. He had better not be. Don't even give him the opportunity. In fact, if you can go to the NFL and burn all of the footage that there's out there of Sky Moore returning punts, you might be able to make him into a tradable asset. Kadarius Toney. So Sky Moore, I don't think he's going to be returning kicks. Definitely not a punt returner. So that could flip him down to the 7 spot with Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, last season, surprisingly few punt returns. After showing what he showed in the Super Bowl, after showing the lack of what there was to show during the regular season in his receiving stats, I don't know why they didn't run him out there on more punt returns, etc. I am looking now to see if I can find the exact numbers. Punt returns in 2023, Kadarius Toney had 6 for 58 yards, a 21-yard long, a 9.7-yard average. That's not bad. The 9.7-yard average is actually pretty good. Here's the thing with it. Because they used him so sparingly in that role, it seems to me they don't want to do that with him. So, what is he bringing besides being the number 7 wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs? Just his skill set. That's it. Just his skill set. Now, Justin Ross is not a kick returner. Justin Ross is not a punt returner. Justin Ross is the kind of guy who could end up making, I don't know if you want to, right? I don't know if you want to send him downfield on kickoffs because of his injury history. I don't know if you want to send him down to return punts or to defend punts. I don't know if you want him blocking on the field goal team. I just don't know with Justin Ross. I just don't know. So here we have, if NIKKO REMIGIO is able to just almost return punts, his value, special teams value, jumps all the way up to being the number 4 wide receiver. Now, he's not going to be the number 4 wide receiver, but he's going to have as much special teams value as the number 1 special teams playing wide receiver because, again, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, I don't think they'll be playing special teams. I do not think Xavier Worthy will be returning punts. I just don't think you put him in that position, right? Will he be able to? Maybe he can. I don't think you want to take the risk. Now, let's look at their actual game. Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, in my opinion, cemented at the top 3. NIKKO REMIGIO can catch the football. Can Mecole Hardman? Sometimes. Can Justin Watson? More often than not. Can Sky Moore? We're not sure. Can Kadarius Toney? No. Can Justin Ross? He can. He can. Will he? So, as far as what we saw in the preseason last year, dependability in the pass catching department, NIKKO REMIGIO jumps all the way up to number 5 with Justin Watson becoming number 4. That's just in catch dependability. What about what it means to be a non-top 3 receiver? You're going to be working in the slot. You're going to be the 4th read. You're going to be the 5th read. You're going to be the guy that just has to be on the field in case Patrick Mahomes needs a scramble drill. Mecole Hardman's terrible at that. Mecole Hardman is absolutely disgusting in that role. How often have we seen Patrick Mahomes red-faced, screaming downfield after lofting the ball up in the air in Mecole Hardman's direction and the ball landing harmlessly on the turf yards away from Mecole Hardman? I, for one, have a hard time blaming Patrick Mahomes in that situation. Maybe I'm wrong. So he catches better than Mecole Hardman. He's the scramble drill better than Mecole Hardman. Does he do the scramble drill stuff better than Justin Watson? Justin Watson was good at breaking off his routes and heading upfield when Patrick Mahomes broke contain. Probably not NIKKO REMIGIO's game. NIKKO REMIGIO is going to get open, but it's not going to be 40 yards downfield. Therefore, he brings something different in the scramble drill type mentality than does Justin Watson. Sky Moore, apparently not very good at that. Kadarius Toney, apparently not very good at that. Justin Ross, we don't really have, in my opinion, the snaps to make a judgment there. So, at the end of the day, does NIKKO REMIGIO stand a chance to make the active roster? And if so, over who? The article in question said he's going to have to beat out Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney. Guys, I think he might beat out both of them. I think he's almost definitely going to beat out Justin Ross just because of the types of things that he will be able to do versus the fact that Justin Ross is kind of in the same category as Justin Watson. He's going to run goes and corners and posts, and that's basically it. So I think there is a very real possibility that NIKKO REMIGIO makes this team, and I think he's going to make this team over at least one wide receiver that's going to be very surprising on cut down day. That's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans if you find yourself here by chance. But not designed, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.